He draws, and we, the elders, interpret. You see, Josh, Ruben is unclouded by normal cognition. It makes him open for the source.
What happens when Ruben dies? Do you just wait for a baby that is not clouded?
No. Ruben was a product of inbreeding. All of our oracles are deliberate products of inbreeding.
Can I take a photograph?
What?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheapseat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
The greater good.
This is episode 318, and tonight we're going to talk about Midsommar, or Midsummer, but it's spelled Somar, but it's just Midsummer. Summer. I feel like Somar is like, it's this new technology that the Navy's come up with. Have you got the planes on your?
No, it's just Samar over there.
You're not. Yeah. Somewhere over there and Samar over there. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Midsommar. Gosh, this movie. This is gonna be such a weird podcast.
This is going to be an interesting talk because I've obviously, I think we all just saw it yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Andrew and I were watching it separately at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how Sean and I inadvertently watched it at the exact same moment.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we were watching it together.
We were both texting each other like moments that were happening as they were happening. It's crazy. I am Sean Allred, and joining me tonight is Andrew. No photography means no photography. Jemison.
But what if I like finger paintings a lot and I want to capture them forever on my iPhone?
Don't.
You don't want to do that. You probably don't want to.
Yeah,
and you definitely don't want to sneak into a room to take pictures later.
Yeah, don't do that.
But there's
Not
no
a
one
good
around.
idea.
Nobody will know.
Except the face
Except
mask.
they know.
The face mask guy. And Sam always pees on ancestral trees vector.
It makes them grow. Sean, I want you to know, right, that I'm going to chop your body up and feed it to pigs, right?
Okay.
And then I'm going to feed those pigs to a bear, and then I'm going to let them have the bear to do what they want for the 90th anniversary of Midsommar. So, just so you know, you will be part of it somehow, some way.
That's fine. I think there's worse ways than that in this movie.
Well, I can't say Blood Eagle, right? That's just too easy, too spot on.
Yeah. So, this movie, Midsommar, 2019's Midsommar, it's directed by Ari Aster. He does horror films. That's what he does. He also directed Hereditary, that came out the year before, which I remember was people liked it as a horror film.
They
thought
talked about it a lot.
Yeah, and it's got a good cast. And then he's done that's it. Those are his two feature films, Midsommar and Hereditary. And I don't know. So
Well, let's remind the listeners. I'm sorry, the listener, um, that we are not horror movie aficionados, right? We generally stay away from these types of films on a general basis. At least I do. And
I'm not gonna call this horror though.
well, and that's what I was going to talk to you guys about tonight because I was not horrified in how I think I was supposed to be because I'm sitting here. I'm like the guys, the anthropologists, right? I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool and interesting, and this culture is certainly interesting and different, and I hate to say it, but some of the deaths were deserved, right?
well,
I mean,
I mean,
you go into a different culture and you know, I mean, obviously, it's never good to kill other people and all that sort of stuff, but you're in another culture. You have to respect that culture.
I just watched
Even if-
Borat, so
Yeah. Yeah.
but to be, I think to be fair to that moment, and we're kind of jumping way into this, but they were gonna die regardless if he peed on that tree.
oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, regardless
Yeah,
of
they
him
were-
breaking into the room to take the photos, they were all supposed to die. That was the point.
Yeah. They were all lambs to the slaughter.
Yeah. So
And that was the reason why the exchange student or the two brothers that were sent out, that was the reason why they were sent out, is to bring people back for
Yeah.
this thing.
yeah. So we're gonna get to our 5-word reviews in just a second, but there was something I kind of wanted to explore, and Sam, you've already kind of touched on it, and that is when we teased that we were doing this movie, right? So we had Stephen Honeycutt on, and he was like, "Oh, it's a
Yeah.
really good movie. It's a great horror film. It's pretty rough, some
Yeah.
rough business." And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right. I'm kind of nervous about this." And we had Lady Wan on a few weeks before, and we mentioned this movie, and she said the same thing. She was like, "Oh yeah, it's pretty rough," and she even tweeted at me and was like, "How you doing? How you hanging in there?" or something like that, right? And so I kept thinking, "Oh dang, like this."
Did you
this-
have expectations of too much craziness?
I think I did because
Yeah.
I kind of maybe psyched myself out, and so I started thinking, "Am I broken?" because well, hang in there, just so
No.
and I think because the reason why I make the joke about that, but it's because it feels like the last couple of Halloweens that we've done, where we've had the big scary movie, it didn't scare me. Like The Witch or whatever it was. Like they said, it's like the scariest movie on Netflix. It didn't scare me. It kind of bothered me,
No.
but it didn't scare
Yeah.
me. And then this thing comes along, and I was kind of bothered, and I was uncomfortable and uneasy, but I was never scared.
No.
And I think
Is it well, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
the only thing I can think of, and again, you have the degree, so you can probably come up with a better psychoanalyst than I can, is that this movie to me is so unrelatable because I would never be in a situation like this.
Yeah.
You know, like
I could see that.
that's why to me it's a little unrelatable. Whereas, like when we did, was it The Haunting or whatever last year, when it was the house that
Oh,
was
what was that one? The Conjuring.
The Conjuring. That one kind of bothered me a
Oh,
little bit more
yeah.
because I could kind of see myself being stuck with a haunted house kind of a thing. Sort of, you know, but what were you going to say, Sam?
I was going to say, I think what we're getting into here are the different styles of horror, right? You've got your slasher picks, you've got your supernatural jump scare flicks, you've got your creature flicks, and then I think you've got things like what we just saw, where is basically, you know, make you so uncomfortable that you're squirming horror. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Because
I will say. Go ahead.
I was going to say, because this movie, for all that we've heard about how you know how good it was and things like that, I had a quote unquote good time with this movie because I just let it wash over me in terms of getting into the mood that it was trying to do. But in no way was I ever jump scared in this movie.
No.
I was never, even when the guy was hit over the head with the mallet, you know, that never jump scared. But you better believe my eyes were fixed to the screen when the lady jumps off the cliff, right?
Yeah.
Or that I was watching intently when naked Christian sees Blood Eagle there for the first time. So I think it's a different kind of horror. I think this one is probably going to stick with you more than something like The Conjuring, where the jump scare will certainly in the moment elevate your heart rate. But this one's going to make you think. This one's going to make you think about how different cultures do things. Basically, and what I was going to try to get to is, have you ever heard of the movie Green Inferno?
No.
It's a horror movie by Richard Rodriguez, I think. I can't remember. Maybe I'm not 100% sure. But it's basically they go to the Amazon and they get eaten alive. They're cannibals right down there. And it's kind of, I mean, obviously they're not getting eaten alive in this movie, maybe, but we're just treated to a different culture. And I think because we see ourselves in the very pale Swedish people, I think that's why it makes it even more creepy when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. For what it's worth, Eli Roth directed.
Eli Roth. Who's Richard Rodriguez?
I don't know. He sounds like a cool dude, though.
I think it's another Tarantino guy. So anyway, Eli Roth. What were you going to say, Andrew?
No, I was just going to say that pretty much the same thing, that it makes you really, it wasn't frightening to me, but what was disturbing about it was the thought that of all the horror movies we've seen, I could see this one actually happening somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
The ones that deal with the supernatural, there's the people that are like, they fully believe that happens and all this. And okay, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But this, I mean, there could be some random isolated group of people somewhere in the world that practice some of these things. I mean, chances are probably not, but there may have been in the past. Yeah.
And the director did his research. A lot of the stuff you see in this movie is based on old traditions, Viking and German traditions. Mm-hmm. So what you see in this are real old, pagan traditions, basically.
To your point, either both of you, I can't remember who said it already, because I'm thinking also, is that, the part that really makes it scary is that it can be a real thing. And then I think the next layer of the scary is that the people that are committing these horrible acts are doing so with the full knowledge that what they're doing, they know what they're doing, but they feel like it's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to bring these people into our world, knowing that. I mean, I'm saying you want to talk about a long con. I mean, this kid has to go to America, get a degree, work on his master's or doctorate, so that he can become friends with this group of people and like them enough that when he says, "Come visit my home this summer," they say yes. I mean, that's a long con.
Well, is it a con though, or is he? I mean, I guess the reason they go out is to bring people back, but does he see it as a con, or does he see it as,
this is what you do?
I'm going to America and I'm gonna meet people and I'm gonna invite them home.
So he's on a spiritual quest at that point. This is a 90-year tradition. So basically, the hopes of the village are on these guys bringing people back.
Yes. So, okay. So let me rephrase my statement. It's a con in that is, I guess, the con being a negative thought. He's not doing it sinisterly. No. But he has to befriend these people, because if he comes back with no one, then he's a letdown, because they need new genes in the gene pool, right? That's ultimate. They even make I didn't capture the audio. I didn't get a lot of clips, just because there's not a lot of stuff to record that would be funny to play back on a podcast. But, but he makes the joke early in the movie. He's like, when they're talking about his girlfriend, Danny, and he says, the guy says, "Hey, you could impregnate that waitress." And he's like, "Or all the Swedish girls." Like, that's the foreshadow that he knows that I'm going to bring you guys back to do that. Now, of the three, male options, the only one guy gets the benefit. Before he is,
if you can call it
that. He still has, I'm saying, the awkward, most uncomfortable moment in his life, but before he is.
The old lady is pushing him from his backside to help with the thrusts. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
holy crap.
Yeah, I didn't say it wasn't super awkward, but
again, it's definitely more awkward than it was scary.
My text to Sean, Sam, as you saw, was talk about performance anxiety. So if you guys haven't seen this, go out and watch it, and you'll know the scene that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah. So we're going to do our 5-word reviews here in just a second, but I will say this. Of the 4 movies that we've done 3 so far. Obviously, we haven't watched Train to Busan yet, and I haven't physically watched it yet, so I don't know what to expect. Don't watch We Summon the Darkness.
No.
Take your time and watch this movie. Or Gerald's Game. If you only have time to watch one, I would watch.
See, I would say Gerald's Game over this movie, only because it's shorter.
Yeah, I would too, and I think it's more interesting, and I like the dialogue better.
You know what you do? You take a giant glass of mushroom tea and watch this movie.
The movie is trippy enough as it is.
Holy crap. Imagine if you were, I've never been high, but imagine if you were on drugs watching this movie. Talk about scary.
Well, yeah, especially when the background is constantly moving.
Yes. The flower on her head was breathing. Did you guys ever notice that? It was exhaling and inhaling.
There were a lot of things. I feel like I kind of need to watch some of this again because as much as I don't want to, I noticed some of the stuff moving, but I feel like now that you're talking about it, I may have missed a whole bunch because I was focused on the foreground and not what was going on around them.
Well, and that's funny. Again, like I said, I've already said twice now, or once that we were going to do our 5-word, but like one of my notes. But one of my notes literally was at an hour and 49 minutes, I noticed that the background was all wavy like when she was tripping. Was that happening the entire movie? Like, did I miss that somehow? Or was it...
I don't think it started until literally... it was about halfway through, right? It was after the second dose of...
Yeah, so when she was doing the ring around the rosy bit, like that was the second time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So, Sam, why don't you hit us with your 5-word reviews? I'm sure you have more than one.
I've got 2 here. The first one is Slow Burn Finally Amps Up. And then, and this is kind of how I explained earlier, unusual culture doesn't mean horror. And I didn't write it, I didn't put a 5-word review, but one of the things I really liked about this movie was the journey that the girl took in terms of basically this movie is about her finding family and finding a solid footing, even though it's a crazy pagan cult that I think she's joining, right? That's another question at the very end. Is this something she smiles at the end spoiler alert, she's smiling as the people are being burned alive.
Yeah. So
I think she's joining it. And I think she, if you think about it, the people that cults go after, she is a prime candidate, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's been through a big loss and is trying to find meaning in life. She has a horrible relationship with her quote unquote boyfriend. And she needed somebody to basically be her solid, when she sees Christian and the redhead and has a meltdown, and all the women are basically, they're not crying at her, which I thought at first, I thought they were mocking her, but they were crying with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just brilliant, which totally paid off with her decision at the end. And I really, really enjoyed that path. Now, were some of the characters kind of hollow? Absolutely. Right. We knew who was going to die in this movie. And we especially knew the weird looking kid was going to die. The one who peed on the tree.
Right.
I think he dies in every movie he's in.
He might.
Well,
But
yeah.
But in terms of the artistic touch to this horror movie is just brilliant. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. All the different foreshadowing that you see in the paintings and in the tapestries and everything else, makes me want to go back and what I don't know if I want to sit another 2.5 hours, but it almost makes me want to go back and just see it, right? Because you see the picture of the bear burning, you see the picture of the love potion, how she's going to get him to go after her, and it's fascinating. I loved it.
Cool. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Right on, Andrew. What you got?
Well, I've got two, and my first one has an audio assist. So here you go. Yeah. So if you don't know what that is, that's a hammer smashing your opponents in a game called Super Smash Brothers. And my other 5-word review is more like a 5-word reviewed squared because it's 10 words and you're gonna have to deal with it. So here is the second one. Thought I had a good jackknife from the high dive, but apparently this old man had a better jackknife than I did.
I don't understand.
He surely did jack his shit up.
I can't. I mean, if you know that's what you're gonna do, you want to go so that when you hit, you're dead. Like you don't want to live any time after.
But I also wonder. I mean, how old do they? I thought that
72.
they said it's 72.
That's the number.
Those people look, especially he looked far older than 72.
They live a hard life.
Well, I was gonna say, like, my dad is older than these guys, and he doesn't look like that old. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, say like my dad's 74 and can still mow the yard. Like that guy looked like a strong breeze would knock him over.
Yeah.
I'm right there with Sam. I mean, I won't say that I hated the movie. You know, it had some factors that, and maybe the factor was just kind of, it's like a car accident that you just can't look away from.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. No, that's a very good point.
Because I honestly, as I was watching it, I literally my stomach was turning from the very beginning. I mean, from when her parents and her sister were dead and how all that happened, which I thought the telling of that was brilliant and very well done. And then, I mean, just from that moment on, my stomach was just in knots. And so as I was watching it, I kept waiting, like you said, when Lady Wan and Stephen both said that we were really in for it, I thought, okay, when's it going to happen? And other than kind of the goriness of plummeting off this cliff and the
face first, especially the face first.
And the fish fillet hanging in the chicken coop, I mean, I couldn't really think of anything that bothered me visually or made me sick to think about. But for some reason, I guess thinking about or worrying about what I was going to see made me sick.
Yeah.
But like I said, when you saw what it wasn't. And maybe because we've seen like Bone Tomahawk and what was the one?
No, but you're a good point because I was expecting a Gerald's Game hand injury type of horror.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You know, to watch them blood eagle this guy, or, I expected more blood. I expected more gore, and it never came.
Well, so so we watched the theatrical version. There's a director's cut that makes it an NC-17 rating.
Ooh.
It's 30 extra minutes of movie.
Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. 3-hour movie. and but most of the extra stuff is a little bit more backstory. We get a little bit more of the understanding of. We get a little bit more violence, but the sex scene is longer too. The him and the redhead. It's a little bit more graphic and a little bit longer, so that's partly why it gets to that NC-17 rating. But you're not wrong in that I was expecting. Honestly, I was expecting Bone Tomahawk level violence with all of the psychological stuff, because again, other than the skydive or the base jumpers, all of the other deaths are off camera.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean,
Which is strange to me because maybe he's trying to subserve our expectations or something like that. But
it's
I expected the white uniforms that they're all wearing to be blood red
yeah.
at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And maybe the other idea is that our imaginations are worse than anything he could come up with. I mean, like we hear the girl, the British girl, we hear her scream, and we don't know. Now I read the trivia, so I know how she died, but unless you did, you don't know how she died. You just hear a scream, and
How did she die?
So,
I didn't read the trivia.
So
what's the trivia on that one?
So it's in the extended version. So it's when she goes with the dude in the truck. He drives her out a few minutes, and then gets out of the truck, and drags her to the lake and drowns her.
Oh,
but the interesting part is there's a little boy that's from the village that watches it, and to keep the secret, he has to drown him too. So he drowns her and a little boy in the but that's why you just hear the one.
But again, that's more of that I mean, I could see why that would be a scene you should include, because again, it's showing crazy. That would disturb me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and you're looking for being disturbed.
Yeah, and it kind of shows that there's something sinister going on sooner than later, because we get it kind of later. It's like, I mean, especially once you see that they've blood eagled this guy, you're like, okay, did they have?
Well, I think
that?
we got it when what's his name got the bludgeoned in the temple, right? That's when we knew crap was hitting the fan, because he was wearing this guy's skin, and I mean that was when it was like, okay, well, this has hit another level here.
And see, that's the thing, is that I didn't know that was what was happening when I was watching it, and I watched this on my laptop with my headphones, and so I had good audio. But when he turned around and goes, "Oh, Mark, it's just you," and I thought, that's not Mark. It doesn't look like his body, but you couldn't really see his face. It was super dark, and so I just thought he was mistaken. I did not know until I read the trivia that the guy had killed Mark and then pulled a Silence of the Lambs and was wearing his face in that scene to get him to kind of lower his guard, so that and you don't know this unless you read the trivia, that the guy that took them out there, Pele, he's the one that swings the hammer. He's the one that kills him.
Oh, their friend?
Yeah. The guy that brought them out there, he's the one that lands the blow that kills him.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
It doesn't show that, does it?
Not really. No, it's just the hammer just comes down and then he's just dragged away.
Yeah.
So my 5 words. I have 2. I don't usually do 2.
You have up to 5. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah. So my first one was slow burn, then real burn.
Ah, nice. Nice.
And then my second one was my funny one was, why is my lemonade red?
Gross. Oh.
And again, I didn't know what it was until I read the trivia. I didn't.
Oh, you didn't see that? See, I saw that one coming, because I saw the tapestry and the ritual, and then I figured that was it. That was what was going on.
It just dawned on me, because I saw the tapestry, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
The tapestry is a full, telling of what's going to happen in the movie.
Yeah.
And I saw that part on the tapestry, but I forgot about it because it was 16 hours earlier in the movie. I just forgot. So when it happened, like,
Well,
so
yeah.
so when the camera shows that it's a different color, I knew something had happened to it. Honestly, I thought that it was like a drug, like they had drugged
like another
his,
mushroom or something.
yeah,
put in
they had
there.
just drugged his lemonade so that, like, I figured that what was going to happen happens, but I thought it was going to happen a little differently. But not, like, I knew he was going to end up with the redhead. Like, I knew.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
We wants the redhead.
So I took the most notes on this movie than I've taken probably a calendar year.
Really?
There's a lot of downtime.
There's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of slow, like you said, a lot of slow burn in this, a lot of mood.
There's
a lot of woodwinds.
Well,
so,
there's a lot of just people just staring at things and just waiting for the right moment for the thing to happen. There's a lot of just walking.
A lot of grass growing up over your feet, and
there's a lot of that. So I took a lot of notes. I mean, a lot of notes, and I'll read some of them as we go through. But I also wrote something that I've not done before, and you mentioned earlier, Sam, having questions. I wrote down. I actually created a new section on my sheet called "Questions Sean Has." So I don't really know if I have a sounder for that. I don't know if I could come up with. I'm just.
I like that.
Oh, that's a good.
That'd be a good one for.
Oh yeah.
Let's see if I can find that.
Where was
real
that
quick.
from? Was that?
There we go. There you go. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean for a little Five Heart and Frenzy to start playing. That was weird.
A little ska in there.
Yeah. So my first question is, and this, I've had the complaint before when movies do, and I mentioned it last week, when movies do the thing, the Hans effect, right? And I'm not saying that that's what's happening, because Pele has to keep the
charade.
He has to keep it going, right? So I'm fine with that. But when I was after I got done watching it, I thought, why did we have to have this thesis drama?
Why? I believe they did that so that when the first guy gets killed, the other guy doesn't care.
Okay.
That he'll stick around because his buddy has basically messed up and stolen the book and is gone. So now I think that's the only reason. So story-wise, they had to create a rift between those two to make sure that the final two characters will be Christian and the girl.
But
I can't remember what's her name again?
Danny,
thank you.
But but why did they even lie about the book? There was no point to that. When they say, "Hey, the book's missing, just bring it back."
Yeah.
They know the book's not missing. Is the point solely just to make Christian uncomfortable? And I
think it's maybe to go along with what Sam said, to
throw him
question
off?
his friends.
Because it would make sense for the motive. Because again, he had been talking about this book and doing things he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And it made sense if he stole the book and ran away.
I guess that does make sense. That basically the idea is that they need to keep Christian on the hook with the redhead. Before, so they can have his seed. All right, I'm good with that. So
I'll wait to make sure. By the way,
what?
You think they'd wait to make sure that it took?
I mean, that's just one and done. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, she's rocking back and forth, and she says, "I can feel the baby," and I thought, that's not how that works.
No.
So you're not wrong. I thought that too. You have to be pretty sure, but
yeah.
Okay, so second question Sean has.
Okay.
How would they have killed the newcomers had they not all broken rules?
Yeah, I'm sure they had some ways of doing it.
Hey,
overwhelming them.
Let's go on a nature hike, and oh no, Mark slipped and fell down the thing and it died. Oh no!
Or they gave them more mushrooms, and while they're tripping, slash their throat.
Yeah,
or something. I'm sure there's various ways. I mean, I've thought of various ways of killing you guys.
That's fair.
So yeah.
Okay. So there's that one. I mean, it's just something that I thought about. It's just like, I mean, they gave motivation to kill, like you said, they broke these rules, and so like Mark getting killed and filleted was like a crime of passion, you know, and the black guy from The Good Place, like he
was sacrilegious, or he was.
Yeah, he was breaking a rule, and so therefore there's almost a justification for the killing, right? And then
The ones I had, the one I will admit I had the biggest problem with was the guy from London, who Blood Eagle guy.
Yeah.
Who his only crime was to basically be upset at the suicide scene.
Well, from what I read in the trivia is that the reason why they were killed was simply because they didn't want, they as in the cult people, they didn't want them to leave and go tell authorities that this is what's happening here. So they have to keep the secret. That's why they died. So I mean, it's easy for us to go, oh, F that, it's time to go. But they wouldn't. They would never. They were never going to be let to live. Like they were never going to. You know what I'm saying?
And I don't know. I guess because, you know, in the Viking tradition, the blood eagle is reserved for like supreme torture, right? Like the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
You know what you do to a person. And I just found it weird that they did it to him. And I also for some reason I thought that he was one of the people in the final ritual. Did they not use his body in the final ritual?
They did.
Yeah, they did.
They wheelbarrowed him in there.
And hers too, right? His girlfriend. So they needed those bodies.
Yeah.
For the ritual. Now here's the big question. Here's the Sam's question. If Danny didn't join the cult or if she wanted to go home, would they let her?
So that's actually one of my questions. Like literally my next question on my sheet here is, would they kill the May Queen if she decides to leave? Or do they use her as a honey trap to get dudes to come in?
Right.
Now, I don't know. I can't remember. Is the bringing people in for the sacrifice, is that the only because of the 90-year thing? Or
90-year thing.
So,
yeah.
so that's not like happening all the time.
No.
Okay. All right. So.
Yeah. You know what? And I don't know if this was one of your questions or if this was alluded to in trivia, but I kept waiting for like when the meat pies are being made. I kept waiting for someone or for us to find out that they're eating those other guys.
I did too. Yeah. And it doesn't help that, and when we eat dinner, we have like a Halloween soundtrack's always going on, and Sweeney Todd gets played a lot at our house. And I can't help but think about that. So as soon as that thing plopped down and he pulled a hair out of his mouth, you know, the pubic hair, I thought, oh, they're eating people. That was my initial thought.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, I was like,
which would make sense with the whole idea of community and, you know, or just, you know, being one with each other and all that.
Yeah.
Well, and she makes the head lady, whatever her name is, makes a statement about we haven't feasted in 90 years. And so she talks about a feast. And so I immediately thought, okay, they're going to eat these people.
Yeah.
But I guess that never happened.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess cannibalism is where they draw the line, I guess. My last couple of questions, I'll burn through these. Did none of the Americans, obviously besides Danny, because she doesn't have parents, but did the rest of them, did they not tell their parents where they were going?
Right. That's another reason why I want to watch the first part of it when they're talking around the table, because I'd like to see if they mention anything along the lines of plans. And for some reason, I thought I remember them talking about not really having a plan and not really knowing what they're going to do or go and do. So, I mean, again, someone's going to be looking for these kids.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for them, but there's no trace to them, right? Because literally the guy even says, we get off the airplane and then we drive 4 hours straight there. I mean, like even Mark was pissed that they weren't going to get to stop. So, I mean, I guess Pele's goal is if no one sees these people here, you know, like the only record of them is getting off the airplane, then there's no way to track where they go, you know, or where they've been. So, I mean, I get that, but it still seems kind of strange. And then my last one, which I think we've answered it, I just couldn't remember when I wrote it, is that where they live, or is that just the summer ritual killing place?
It's a good question. I think it's where they live because they mentioned about where
Yeah.
they all sleep, right? In the big bunkhouse.
It just
Yeah.
seemed really clean for a community that has to live there forever.
Yeah,
I'm
not
saying,
to
like,
really have any paths in the grass. and
Well, I
things
mean,
like
it
that.
is
Or-
it is a special ceremony. I mean, so maybe they like clean things up.
well, I mean,
for
they
the
obviously had to
special
build
ceremony.
that building specific for the fire, whatever.
Mhm.
But I mean, they had obviously they had dishes and they had cutlery and silverware and glasses and things. So they obviously have a place to cook food and clean things and stuff like that.
And they've got buildings out there too.
Yeah, there's
Like-
obviously buildings. It just felt like the summer camp place, as opposed to a place where people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it felt like there were,
Yeah.
especially in the establishing shot when we first get there. It felt like there were, I don't know, 100 people, and I thought, there's no way that they're all sleeping in those buildings. It just didn't feel, whatever. It's fine, not a big deal. That was just one of those things I was worried about. Yeah, I did basically write, though, that Christian is a douche. I think I wrote it 2 or 3 different times.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they really went out of their way in the movie to make sure that we knew that he sucked. And
But not in an overly, hate him kind of way, but just this guy is not the best fit for this relationship, basically.
no,
Especially
I mean,
with her.
Yeah, I mean, so she's like emotionally damaged, and
Yep.
even before her parents' situation, like
Yep.
the movie starts off pretty early that she's kind of clingy, and he's apparently been wanting out of this relationship for like a year,
Yep.
and then the part where I really rolled my eyes hard was the part where they're at the party, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to Europe this summer," and she's like, "You didn't tell me you were going." And like when they're back at the apartment, they do what I refer to as the angry flip. Like our wives have all done it to us, but we are not allowed to do it to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's against the rules. And so basically she's like any normal, in my opinion, this part, any rational person in a relationship says, wait a minute, you made a decision today to go to Europe for 3 weeks and you haven't talked to me. And this, again, it's not like they were dating for 5 minutes. They've been dating for 4 years. So I mean, that's a relationship. And he does the angry flip and gets her to apologize to him. I thought, my God, he's like gaslighting her.
Yeah.
And because she is so desperate to your point earlier, Sam, she's so desperate for family, she can't stand the idea of losing him, so she will do whatever it takes to keep him happy, even if.
And I think that even with the problems with her own family, and having a sister that would be bipolar, would be very isolating for her because more than likely her parents are having to take care of the bipolar sister a lot more. So this girl has been on an island for a very long time,
right?
So emotionally, basically.
Yeah, no, you're right, and that's what makes her such a prime candidate to become part of that group, because they're not going anywhere, and so she's
Nope.
there.
Mhm.
She's their May Queen forever, and yeah, but yeah, I literally wrote. Let's see. The boyfriend sounds like a douche. So that was my very first note. And then I scroll down a little bit and I get to 4 years and he doesn't know her birthday. Man, he sucks. And then I wrote after the cliff jumping bit and Christian approaches the black dude to say he wants to do his thing. I wrote Christian is a douche.
Well, that was a very quote unquote dick move.
Yeah.
To do. In that
I
case.
didn't. This is going back to Danny as the May Queen. I mean, I noticed that she was a little almost infatuated with the May Queen from the very beginning. She saw the picture and she was kind of overwhelmed or taken with the fact that this person who has all these flowers on her, and then she finds the wall of pictures of all the May Queens, which I did find a little odd that they would have a wall of pictures in this community with no other pictures anywhere. But
May Queen's a big deal.
What?
but
Okay.
I feel like that she kind of wanted that. Maybe she needed to have some recognition and some admiration. Is that the word I want?
Admiration. Yeah.
Admiration.
Hang in there. You just reminded me of a question that I forgot to write down. So they have like this wall of May Queens, right? So they have May Queens every year, even without
Yeah.
the killing part.
Without the killing part.
So it just seems so interesting that they have these rituals that they know about, but no one would have been alive at the last time that they did this,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, at 72, you're out of the club. So I just think it's interesting that they have these rituals that they know that they have to do every year, and then they have these other special rituals that they do on the 90th anniversary. It just seems interesting. So, okay, different cultures. I did write also, please help that little kid go to sleep.
Oh my gosh. I
There's
expected
nothing
that kid to
worse.
get killed, by the way. I expected at
yeah,
some
yeah.
point that
I
kid to
completely
get
forgot.
strangled in the middle of the night.
I completely forgot all about that. So I did see it correctly when they put a pair of scissors under the baby's pillow, right?
I thought it was just
Yes.
was it scissors?
It looked like a pair of scissors.
I thought it was just like a charm or something.
Okay. I'm going to have to go back and look at that because I could have swore it was a pair of scissors. And it, I really did expect at some point that baby to get like, somebody was going to have enough of the crying.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
because,
I mean, the vibe that you get really early on from this thing is that they all love each other very much, and so I never thought that the baby was in danger because I don't think that these people would go, oh my gosh, baby, bad, die. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just felt bad for the kid and for everybody in the room. It's just like, okay, guys, I know. Is there not somebody that can just go rock that kid somewhere else? It just that was the part I was mentioning. I didn't really. What else did I write? They like to use mirrors in this movie a lot. They used a lot of reflection. Well, I should say a lot. The beginning there was. Yeah.
I'm sorry I haven't been participating much, but if you look at 2 minutes and 32 seconds into this movie, you see her two parents in bed sleeping with a picture in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I recognized it yesterday, but that picture, you talk about foreshadowing, you start to wonder how much of this is meant to be and how much was pushed to happen. Because if you look at that picture, it's a picture of Danny with flowers all around her in her parents' room.
Interesting.
really?
And I kind of had a sneaking suspicion. I had the thought that I can't remember his name. I keep on calling him Helga, but their friend that brought him there, right?
Pele.
I think he had some sort of infatuation with Danny because he kept showing her affection throughout the entire movie. If not anything, kissed her full on the lips towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Drew the picture of her in where she looked like she's the May Flower Day girl or whatever, and at one point even asked her about Christian and said, does he feel like home? I wonder how much he had to do with pushing her out there and getting her to that point.
Huh.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing your picture. Yeah, the picture where they got the flowers. I mean, yeah, I thought that. So that was like a plot point that I thought was going to pay off. Was that I thought that they were going to just like end up together basically. Is
Yeah.
that like
Yeah,
he's-
like they're the new couple of the town.
yeah,
or-
like yeah, exactly. She's May Queen and he's now the May King or whatever because
yeah.
he's kind of quietly putting a wedge between her and Christian. You know, just
Yeah.
hey, happy birthday.
Methodically. Yep.
You know, happy birthday. Did Christian get you anything? Oh no, but he's so busy. He's like, oh well, I got you this thing for your birthday. You know, it's just a picture, but you know, she's like, oh yeah, like, and then the part where like she's crying and he's talking about my parents died and I understand. And does it feel like home? Like he's trying to put that, he's hammering that concept of home. You know, and that's what I honestly I thought it was going to happen too. Is like once she sees Christian, I thought she was gonna after her crying bit, she was gonna run to him for comfort.
Yeah.
And that like
Yeah.
the two of them would be together. Like so when she chooses him at the end of the movie, which by the way, how pissed do you have to be to know that you're gonna send somebody to die?
Hell hath no fury as a woman scorned.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, and I mean, in that moment, I felt bad for him because, I mean, yeah, he was a douche, and in movies we joke
No
like,
one,
oh,
no one deserves to die.
no
like
one
that.
deserves to be burned to death in which you can't move or even scream.
Yeah.
Dressed as Winnie the Pooh.
And dressed as in a bear costume. Yeah, his cosplay that year was the bear from The Revenant.
So yeah, I went back at 49 minutes and 41 seconds. It's a pair of scissors. They're putting it under the pillow.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't. That's weird. And I think I really expected, because I saw the scissors, I thought, that's weird that they're going to put that under a baby's pillow. And then it never really paid off, so I didn't understand the point of it.
Yeah, who knows? There might be another thing.
Maybe that's another deleted scene.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm watching that shot right now. I'm trying to. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is a pair of scissors. That's so
It's
weird.
like surgical scissors. By the way, did you notice Pele's bed is next to Danny's
Yeah.
in that picture as well? I never really put that together. Yeah, this is, like I said, this movie has a bunch of these little, I don't know, just details that I think are meant to be there to kind of pique your interest or make it at least worthy of watching again. I don't think I will, but it certainly, it does make me a little curious about what else I missed.
Yeah.
This is certainly a movie that would be worth analyzing. If I were getting a degree in psychology or getting a degree in religious studies or something like
Anthropology,
that.
yeah.
Anthropology, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I have some trivia. I have clips. Let's do some clips. I don't have much, but I'm just going back over my notes here to make sure I don't miss anything.
By the way, I wish I knew that mushrooms would make me learn German faster.
Yeah.
Right, just like that helped her learn Swedish. So I would have done that back in college.
Let's see. The dumb things I think about. Oh, did they leave the car on the road? They just got out of the car and then just walked away. And then the next scene is like they're walking to the village. So is that car just still sitting in their street? Like that's the things I think about. Not really a hopping man. I'm just wondering what's going to happen to the car. Oh no, guy breaks a rule. I mentioned that. Oh, it reminds me of Arrival when she keeps seeing herself as plants. And then the last thing I wrote that I mentioned was bingo has never been more interesting. So there we go.
Yeah. And by the way, I think the visions of the plants is telling her that this is where to set roots. This is where her home is.
Yeah. There's a lot of foreshadowing in that, and we'll hit that again in a little bit with, I think in my trivia, did I get that? I can't remember. But yeah, you're right. Like that's what it's supposed to be. It's the foreshadow of the
final decision.
Yeah, the final decision. I mean, obviously, like once she's kind of made her final decision is when she finally smiles for almost like the first time in the whole movie is at the end where she gives like a big grin.
And she's really cute, by the way.
She is. She looks like a girl I've seen in like 7 different things, but she's not.
Yeah.
Like
Well, she was in the Outlaw King that we watched
Uh.
as the love interest of Chris Pine.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but like that's it. I mean, she's
Yeah,
been.
that's the only thing I've
she's
seen her
in Little Women. She's in the new Black Widow movie that has been pushed back a year. And she's
the sister in that?
She's one of the girls that
Okay.
Scarlett Johansson trains with.
And it's not like she's hourglass crazy attractive. It's just there's something cute about that girl.
Yeah, cute's a good word. She's just really cute. Of course, this picture of her on her page of it's a shot of her in Little Women. She looks really, really pretty in this, but she's all dolled up.
Dolled out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's a really good
Lord,
actress too.
I just picked up my phone. It must have been playing this entire time. They're all sitting down to a nice dinner.
Oh, nice.
On the reservation here.
But reservation. I thought she acted really. I mean, there was no point in which I thought, oh, that's bad acting. I thought all the acting was really good. The acting never bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna get through some clips because there's not a lot of clips, but like this movie, they're kind of long. So here's the first one. I titled this one "Guy Talk."
What if I regret it later and I can't get her back?
You don't want her back.
I might.
Okay, well then you can bitch to us about how much you regret it for that day, and then we'll remind you again that you've been wanting out of this stupid relationship for like a year now, and then you can find a chick who actually likes sex and doesn't drag you through a million hoops every day.
Do you think that there is a masochistic part of you that is playing out this particular drama to avoid the work you actually need to be doing?
What work do I need to be doing, Josh, exactly?
Well, I don't know, your prospectus, maybe your PhD.
Yeah. I guess that's what smart dudes talk about. Because I don't think I've ever had a conversation like that. But anyway. So this makes me a horrible person. But she's crying because her parents have died and her sister's dead. And it's really emotional and it's really sad. But when she cries, there's a moment in which she's crying. I isolated it. And
you are a horrible person.
I'm kind of
ugly crying.
It's the ugly cry, but
horrible.
Yeah, no, I know it. I know it is before you even play it because, like, I've heard people cry this way, and it is ugly crying.
It's an ugly cry. So out of context, it reminded me of those little cans that you turn upside down and it sounds like a cow.
Yes, and
So-
I thought you remember those dinosaurs, you could squeeze them and then they would make that noise when you released them.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's like,
that.
So this sounds like the cow can, but you're shaking it. So it's that. So
Yeah,
I know.
it's like a cough within a cry. It's weird.
I mean, again, she's doing it, so I mean that's again good for her for doing it. But in the moment, and again, I was in the emotion of what happened, but I heard it. It pulled me out for a second.
Yeah.
I thought that sounds weird. I should capture that. So there you go.
But there's something to be said about it though, because it is so natural.
Yeah,
and
deep sorrow.
I mean, you hear. Well, let's put it this way: how many times have you heard that done in a movie? How many people have cried like that in a movie?
Very rarely, honestly, because usually it's
Yeah, and so when I heard it, it did take me out, but at the same time, I was thinking how into her character she is.
Yeah. I do feel bad for her as a character and as an actress because 70% of the movie she's either sad or actively crying or like confused. Like she very rarely gets to express any kind of other emotion.
Joy?
Yeah. I mean, joy she gets like twice in the whole movie. Like when he hands her the picture and then at the end of the movie when her boyfriend is being cooked. So but again, I think she did a really good job of those emotions. But like even the poster, which by the way, up until I was actually watching the movie, I thought that was a dude on the poster.
Really?
I thought it was a guy. Because the hair is short I just thought it was like an effeminate, I mean, this is, up in the highlands of Sweden. It looks like a Swedish dude. And then once I started watching it, I'm like, oh, that's her. But she's crying in the shot, but she's probably crying because she's just sad at something. It's not like she's crying because they're torturing her.
Yeah.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, they were very, very pleasant to her.
Yep.
All of the trauma was to the other people. So, and I think, Andrew, to your point, or Sam, or I can't remember who, I'm sorry, about Pele's intention to bring her there, I started wondering about halfway through the dance if the girls were basically told to make sure she's the one that wins the dance. For some reason, it felt like it needed to be her because
it was planned.
It was planned because they need more new blood, and we can't only get new blood by just bringing dudes in and have seduced them chemically to sleep with our 15-year-olds. We need to have some other new blood. Which the actress, by the way, was 20 during that scene, but the character is 15. And she looked 15. I mean, she did.
Yeah.
Bear.
So we're just going to ignore the bed.
It's a bear.
That's a bear.
It's a bear. What are you going to say, Sam, before I cut you off with the bear?
Well, I do have a logistics question, right?
Yeah.
We saw two people fall off a cliff,
Yep.
jump to a cliff because they were 72 years old, right?
Yep.
We saw one impregnation, maybe, right, on this one.
Yeah.
Are we to assume that it's one baby per year in this commune, or two babies per year in this commune, and that they ritualistically figure out whose turn it is to have the baby or to impregnate the other person?
It's got to be. I mean, look at how many people there are. It's got to be more. And they did mention some inbreeding, and I think there was a conversation that Pele had with somebody where he mentioned that the elders choose the mates, so it's not always completely incest.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said cousins are that does happen, but for the most part they try. I mean, but like in that opening shot, there's a lot of children running around there. So
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of children. So I mean, there's some stuff going on. It does make you wonder though if the circle of, or the semicircle of naked ladies, is that happening every time you have sex, or just when it's the outsider?
Yeah.
And it needs to be. We need to be 100% sure that she's gonna,
Yeah. To expand the gene pool, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Here's your meat pie.
Ew. Yeah, a pubic hair. Dude, calm down. Why are you embarrassed? You're not the one giving out hair pies.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a time that I went to a Chinese restaurant where I live, and I scooped out a big, it was a kind of a buffet thing, and I scooped out some lo mein noodles, and I got back to my seat, and there was a pube hair in it.
Ew.
Yeah, I have not been back to that Chinese restaurant, and that was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
maybe they were trying to cast a love
work.
potion on you.
Maybe so, but I just fell in love with their little barbecue spare ribs.
When
man, yeah, that sounds really good right now.
So when this movie ended, the text I sent to you guys, the group, was, I'm just glad that the music has stopped. So I'm just going to give you a taste of the music. But when I tell you, this is a 2.5 hour long movie, I tell you that 2 hours of it, there is this happening.
You need these?
I'm telling you, that goes on for 2 hours of this movie. Just variations of that.
Easiest gig in the world for this composer. I mean, just
yeah.
We want you to sustain and drone for a good let's say 30 minutes. And then, once in a while, throw some drum in there. But don't change key. Don't change chords. Just, maybe add some vibrato. I tell you, though, the one with the recorders or the flute or whatever that was supposed to be, that one almost drove me to the edge.
Well, you're not wrong, and I actually I captured some of it, and then I didn't, and then I did again. So, but yeah, the music is part of the experience of this movie, right? Like it's just it almost feels like
it's an experience.
You can't just tell me now.
Yeah, I like that word, the experience, because you don't watch this movie, you kind of experience
You
it.
experience it, yeah, just like you're experiencing a new culture.
Yeah,
it's a travelogue.
Yeah, here's a little bit of that piccolo music, flute, whatever he's talking about. It's just.
Meet my sister Danny, born on the exact same day as me. Det här är Danny, Josh, Mark och Kristen.
So sorry, it's buffering. So it's just constant.
Yeah.
I'm missing the flute people. Where do the flute people go? Here they are. I think there's some flute people here.
Danny, Josh, Mark och Kristen.
And it's just like two notes just back and forth.
Yeah.
Honestly, for like a good 2 minutes, that's all you got.
Oh, it's longer than 2 minutes. It's that flute starts when they first start walking through the woods towards when you see the sundial, the sun thing.
That's right. That's
there
right.
you go.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. I mean, it goes on a long time. Oh gosh. I mean, the music is it's grating, and in the moments where there was silence, it's almost like you can breathe.
There was just some relief.
Yeah, and again, I was wearing my headphones, and it was just, it was intense. It was intense. Okay.
And and I believe that's on purpose.
Oh, it's absolutely on purpose. Yeah.
Right. It's to put you on edge because of it. Yeah, it's brilliant, really.
A lot of the modern day horror has the absence of sound, so that when you hear anything, it gives you the creeps or whatever. Like in The Conjuring, there's very little music. It's because they want you to be unnerved by the silence. Whereas this movie wants you to be unnerved by the discordant. You're constantly on uneasy, just constantly.
Or like The Quiet Place, where it's any tiny little bit of noise is I can imagine watching it in theaters and people chewing on popcorn.
Yeah, you open up a bag, and you're doing like a plastic bag, and you're like, dude, the monsters are going to hear you and come through the screen. Okay.
So this, sorry, this, I didn't mean to cough in your ear. So this might be getting into some of the trivia, and Sam, I think you mentioned it last week or a couple of weeks ago about how people had just got up and left the showings of this movie and walked out of the showing. I don't know that I would have walked out. I don't know that there was anything other than just the annoying recorder.
I think the hardcore horror fans would be disappointed and bored to death. They're wanting that adrenaline rush. They're wanting that gore, and when you're sitting listening to flutes play for 3 hours, I don't think they got their jollies with it.
I could see that, I guess. It's not the typical horror that they may have expected. Yeah, I could see that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I mean, and you mentioned that too. I thought it was for one of two things. I thought it was either people walked out because it was so bad, or they walked out because it was, human centipede level, whatever.
It was too much.
Too much, yeah. All right, I'm going to get through some trivia because I wrote down. Now, we've talked about some, so I don't have to repeat, but here we go.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
All right, so most of the Swedish dialogue spoken by the natives is deliberately not subtitled. It is in order to create a sense of isolation for the audience, especially for the foreign visitors. Toward the end of the film, when Danny is lifted onto the pedestal to be carried to the dinner table, a viewer can make out her sister's face in the trees with an exhaust tube in her mouth.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
I didn't either. They did it several times.
I saw it several times. Yeah, there were several other times where you see it. But,
yeah. I didn't see it. If you guys want to maybe look for it and screen cap it, and I can put it on Facebook or whatever if you want to do that. But I didn't see it.
Duct tapes it to your mouth. You just, just lay in bed and, yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I did note, I didn't mention it, but that suicide, that I guess it's technically murder-suicide. I mean, that's forethought, and that, I'm saying, like, it takes a long time to hook up hoses and tape and all that stuff. I mean, that was planned.
Yeah.
And that's a bummer. After the sex scene, Christian was supposed to run away in the robe that he had entered in. Jack Rayner himself suggested that Christian run out completely nude to appear more vulnerable. Thus he appears fully nude when trying to escape. Renner was inspired by having recently watched The Last House on the Left, 1972. Like many films in the horror genre, female characters are disrobed, humiliated, and or assaulted before their demise. He felt it was due time that a male character be made to suffer in similar indignation. No, I applaud him for that. That's cool.
Yep.
Equality. Not that I really wanted to see his man wiener, but I appreciate the fact that he was like, let the big, buff, strong guy get completely emasculated in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm seeing that now of her sister's face. And it's not like, it's very subtle. You have to really know what you're looking for. Wow. All right, I'll screen cap that and send it to you.
Yeah, please.
During the sacrifice at the end of the film, Igmar and Ulf were given dew from the yew tree. As they were fed this dew, Ulf is told, "Feel no pain and feel no fear." As the building burns and the fire inches closer to them, Igmar looks at Ulf with fear, and Ulf gazes back at him before the fire engulfs him and starts to wail in pain. This could possibly indicate that in the last moments before their deaths, they realize that everything they've been told is a lie, but are unable to do anything about it and unfortunately die without being able to warn the others.
I just figured that they were told that to keep them calm before dying in the fire.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that trivia is interesting. I don't know if that's trivia from the directors, like if that's from the storyteller point of view, or if that's just what someone thinks. Somebody that wrote that is thinking that this whole thing is just cultish garbage and that there's actual no belief to it. I don't know. The last one I got, which I think is interesting, is when the film was released in Sweden, rather than eliciting fear in the audience, many people laughed. Many Swedish critics praised the film as an excellent black comedy.
Oh, I could see that. I mean, honestly, there were moments of this that I thought were more of a dark comedy than horror.
Dude, that's trippy, that photo you just posted.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's kind of giving me nightmares. Just that photo alone. That's haunting. Gosh, okay. Well, glad that's there.
And as I didn't even notice this, but as I'm rewatching a couple of these scenes, now I'm noticing the backgrounds are moving and, breathing almost. Ugh, okay.
Yeah, it's just it makes me wonder if it's, but like, is it while she's high or not?
Right.
Is it only like when she drinks the tea to go do the ring around the rosy, or is it all the time? I don't know. So time for this.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
This time we're going to do movies with drug trips. This movie had 4 big drug trips in it, and those drug trips basically help forward or move the plot forward in pretty meaningful ways. So, Andrew, I'll let you go off with, or start us off with some movies with drug trips.
Okay. So, number 3, I have Old School, where he gets shot in the neck with a
With the trank
a rhino
dart.
tranquilizer. And then number 2, I have Batman Begins.
Oh yeah,
with the Scarecrow. And then number 1, probably the funniest trip scene of any that I can think of, is in Bad Boys 2 when Marcus accidentally takes some
Oh yeah.
some ecstasy. I can, every time I see that scene, I laugh hysterically till I cry.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's a great scene. Sam, what you got? Being quiet for a couple minutes, so either his controller.
He's been saying stuff and didn't
why,
know that we can't hear him.
Wonder why we can't hear him. His controller died. Oh, he's off. He's off the call. So I'll go ahead and do mine. Maybe his internet just pooped out. You know, we'll look for a text. So my 3, I also did Batman Begins with the. So
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you are.
I hate you guys. Golly, how long have I been? No wonder you weren't stopping to listen to what I had to say. Kept interrupting me. I'm like, jerks, just let me say something.
We're not the jerks. You're the idiot that doesn't have his controller on.
But it was on. It just wasn't connected. That's so weird.
That's funny.
That's weird because I could hear you guys just plain as day.
Yeah, the last thing we heard you talk about was when Andrew posted the picture of the face.
Yeah. Okay.
What brilliant things were you saying about that?
I don't remember.
Oh.
I think I was just responding to Andrew's top 3 because it was better, much better than mine.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, I'll let you go ahead and then.
Yeah. Okay. My number 3, I've got the old school Dumbo. Remember the trip he had?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
My number 2 is in the movie Black Sheep when they're in the car driving up the coast.
You're stoned, and so am I. You know how fast I pulled you guys going over? Oh, I don't know. Could have been much more than 87. I pulled you at 7. And usually when people pull over, they pull off to the side of the road.
I totally made eye contact with the bee. It was like, alive, 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 dead.
And my number 1 are the multitude of drug-induced scenes in Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, okay.
Including when the lewds hit him at the whatchamacallit, the golf resort.
Yeah,
and he has to get out to his car.
The Lamborghini home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are good. Those are good.
Yeah, that's hard to watch.
Yeah.
So my 3, I also chose Batman Begins. So
Yeah.
you know the scene in that movie when Lucius is there and he's explaining to Bruce what he did to save him, and Bruce looks at him and he goes, "Are you expecting me to understand all that?" And he goes, "No, I just wanted you to know how hard it was. I can't tell you how many times I've said that at work." You know, it's like we're trying to figure an audio solution, and I said, "Well, I just rerouted the thing and then I add the compression and I did this." And the guy looks at me and I'm like, "I know you don't know what I'm saying. I just wanted you to know how hard it was." So anyway, number 2, I did Training Day when he makes the rookie smoke that crack. And he's kind of out of it for a bit. But my number 1 was Dread. That
yeah, I forgot about the drug in that one.
Yeah,
I did too.
Slow-mo, okay. I think is what it was called or something.
Yeah.
Good
Very
stuff.
cool.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right. Time for this.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
We're going to give this movie a score out of 10. 1 being bad and 10 being very good. And I think that's probably pretty easy to understand that math. Andrew.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, I know what I think it deserves, but I don't know if I want to give it that. Because honestly, like I said, it was like I couldn't look away. Which I guess, if you follow my rule of it keeps me interested, even in the moments that there were downtime, I kept, I don't know, it was a sense of anticipation and not knowing what was about to happen. I don't know. I mean, am I going to watch it again? Probably never.
No. Yeah.
But is it a good film? I think it is. I mean, if I feel like this is a movie that I would have seen in a film festival, you know, and that's been made by some college roommates or some college film students, and they just did a heck of a good job. That's what it feels like. So I'm gonna give it a. Ugh. I guess.
Yeah, you got the unpleasant task of going first.
Yeah,
too.
you start us
I
off.
know.
Yeah, you set the bar here.
Do you want me to tell you what IMDb has it at?
Yeah.
7.1.
Okay, so I don't feel too bad then. I was gonna say 6.8. So I guess that's about right.
Yeah, it has a 72 score from Metascore.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a good old 7. I think it's up there with some pretty darn good horror films that are art films. And like I mentioned before, the personal journey that she goes on is worth this movie in terms of how well done it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sorry, I had
Bless you.
No, a cough, yeah. I had it
He's
is
got the coronas.
It is a well done movie. It does the things that it needed. Like there's, all the little, kind of, I wouldn't call them plot holes, but questions that I had. Honestly, they don't really need to be answered for the movie to be, the movie's supposed to make you think, right? So, the fact that I'm asking questions maybe means that the movie did its job. But did I like it? That's what it comes down to, right? Like that's what the point of the score is that do I like the movie? And I kind of don't, but it's a good movie. It's like Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
I appreciate that that's a really great movie, but I don't like it because of what it represents.
It makes you angry. Yeah.
It kind of does. I'm just going to give it a 6.6. I don't know. For no better
6.66 maybe?
No, there's no evil. 6.65. Because there's, you know what I'm saying? It's not. It's
a hundredth less of an evil.
But because they're not being evil. That's the thing.
No,
like
they're the culture. We've mentioned that many times. This is just the way they do things in that cult.
It is. It is what it is, as people have said before. Okay.
And they've never been caught yet.
Well, again, it's hard to be caught when you only commit a crime once every 90 years.
Yeah.
So, if it was like every year they did this and they weren't being caught, then it's like, wow, these guys are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
At the murder stuff.
Well, and it's a little different. 90 years ago, there was no such thing as social media or internet. It just makes me wonder how they can continue.
Yeah,
but they've got 90 years to plan, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Interesting. All right. Next week, we are doing Train to Busan. I am both terrified and excited for it. It is. There's a sequel. Train to Busan presents Peninsula. Okay, interesting. Yeah. So Train to Busan, 2016 South Korean film. It is, I think, all subtitles.
Yep.
And
we're kind of going against our rule, but we know it going into it.
Yeah, and I was wrong. It is not the same guy that directed
Parasite.
I was wrong. I thought it was him. It's not.
I thought it was.
Yeah,
is it not?
No, it is not. He has directed nothing that we've seen.
Oh.
It's all South Korean stuff. Let's see. So
if you enjoy trains, join us next week on Cheapseat Reviews.
Yeah, no, it's zombie.
Choo-choo.
It's zombie trains, man. It's while a zombie virus breaks out in South Korea, passengers struggle to survive on a train. I guess because we thought it was the same dude that did Snowpiercer, because it's a train.
Maybe, yeah. Huh. Okay.
Anyway, cool. Trains and zombies. So if you like both of those things, you're in for a ride. There you go. That's that. time for the credits. Actually, you know what? Before I do our credits, I'm going to say that you should go check out mine and Sam's other podcast. Or I guess it's just not mine and Sam's. It'll be mine and whoever else joins me that week.
Yep.
Them's Fighting Nerds. We've had episode 2 out. We've had some pretty positive. Well, I haven't got any feedback, but people are listening to it, which is cool. But no one's emailed the show
I like to
yet.
think that people are enjoying my podcast.
I think so. Yeah, no one tells me otherwise. So
no hate mail yet.
Silence equals consent is what I learned from.
Oh dear.
The Gunslinger. They use that phrase a lot in the Gunslinger book, the Dark Tower series. Anyway, yeah. So Them's Fighting Nerds. Check it out. It's on everywhere you can find podcasts except iTunes. It's not there yet. iTunes is slow, but it's Google Play and all the other places. It's there. Speaking of iTunes, though, you can check out this show. Leave us a review. iTunes, Google Play, YouTube. Our website is cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com. Facebook is facebook.com/cheapseatreviews. @cheapseatcast is our Twitter. cheapseatreviews@gmail.com is how you can get a hold of us. Those are all the best ways you can get a hold of us. Please, if you like the show, I would just be great if you could share it with somebody. Just say, hey, here's a show. Because I see on Twitter at least 5 times a day looking for podcast recommendations. If you do social media and you see something like that, drop us. Do an app mention for us. That'd be super awesome. So on behalf of Andrew and Sam, this is Sean saying thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next week.